Welcome to another edition of INN's CEO Talks. Joining me today is Ilan Sobel of BioHarvest Sciences, which trades on the CSE under the symbol BHSC and on the OTC under the symbol CNVCF. This is Ilan's second appearance on the show. We first met in the summer of 2020, shortly after BioHarvest and Cannavicell merged, and Ilan was appointed to the role of CEO. Based in Vancouver, BC, BioHarvest Sciences is the developer and the exclusive owner of the proprietary and patent-protected BioFarming technology. It is the first and only industrial-scale plant cell technology capable of producing active plant ingredients without the need to grow the plant. Well, now the company announced it has reached a critical milestone for large-scale production of full-spectrum plant-based cannabis products and cannabinoids in a liquid media bioreactor. This means the company is able to consistently grow trichomes from multiple cannabis strains in liquid media. And the key word here is consistency. Furthermore, BioHarvest is the world's first and only company to successfully develop the proprietary knowledge required to control the production of cannabis cells in liquid media, and it has now developed the unique know-how to optimize the growth of these cannabis trichomes in a predictable and highly efficient manner. Cannabis trichomes are the natural factories that produce the hundreds of distinct cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids in the cannabis plant, and their complex structure creates a major challenge for growing them in liquid media. To date, no other company or academic group has publicly claimed to have successfully grown cannabis trichomes in liquid media in such a predictable and highly efficient manner. This optimization of the trichome's growth is a key condition and major enabler for the consistent, cost-effective, and sustainable production of plant-based cannabis and cannabinoids. Joining me now is Ilan Sobel. Ilan, thanks for joining me. You've got some pretty exciting news here.
Thank you, Stuart. It's great to be back here with you again. It is very exciting, and I would say it's pretty much historical what we at BioHarvest Sciences have achieved as it relates to the major announcement that we made earlier this week.
Tell us about that announcement.
Well, from a historical perspective and from a gravity of the challenge perspective, I like to say that, the complexity of what we figured out, because we really are writing the Bible as it relates to growing cannabis, a grade of cannabis that the market has never seen before, and the complexity of being able to grow trichomes with this level of optimization and consistency in liquid media. It's like climbing Mount Everest and back 6 times. That's why I say it's historical what we've achieved. And, when you think about the cannabis plant, and as you study it and you understand the intricacies of the plant and how it works, I like to say if you didn't believe in God, once you look at the cannabis plant and you understand how it works, you have to realize there's some type of bigger force out there that's creating the world. And the cannabis plant is actually very similar to the human being. Similar to the human being, when we look to have children, literally going through that process, the child starts in the uterus, in a very specific part of the human body, and this is where the human factory starts, if you want to call it that way. And it has to be in a perfect conditions in order for the child to grow. Similarly, in the context of cannabis, the trichome plays that similar role because it's the trichome that is producing the cannabinoids, the flavonoids, and the terpenes. And that's because the cannabinoids themselves are toxic. So if the cannabinoids are actually touching the plant, they will kill the actual plant itself. So, the trichome plays that critical role of being that mini factory, that mini manufacturing line. And we have now landed the critical knowledge, capability, know-how on how to optimize the growth of these trichomes in a manner which is highly efficient, and allows us to really drive a level of cost efficiency. And this forms the backbone, the basis of our commercialization of large scale manufacturing of cannabis, because we figured out how to drive the optimization of the trichome, how to optimize the quantity, the numbers of these trichomes that are literally with their mini manufacturing lines that are producing these cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids.
Well, and the great benefit of this is that you don't have to grow hillside to hillside. You're doing it within facilities that allow you to produce a product in a dramatically shorter period of time than if you were to plant and harvest, the marijuana plants or the cannabis plants.
Sure, from an advantage perspective, when you take our biofarming technology and you step back and you look at this historical moment and you look at it in the context of our technology, this really allows us to be able to take that big step forward from a scaling perspective, to be able to, as I said, bring a grade of cannabis to the marketplace that the market has never seen before, because we have fingerprint consistency. We have a level of cleanliness that the market has never seen before in cannabis. We're able to grow full spectrum cannabis with the right complex of cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids to address a specific ailment. From a sustainability perspective, the footprint and the carbon print that we're leaving is literally a fraction of what the rest of the industry has today. And then importantly, from a cost of capital perspective, because of these factors, we have a very, very low cost of capital. So what you kind of have the sweet spot of a technology that hits the sweet spot from a sustainability perspective, which is so important for our investor partners out there, and in fact, consumers as well. From a cost of capital perspective, we're able to get operating costs at levels the industry hasn't seen before for a grade of cannabis, which will be a level of quality that it allows us to be able to provide a grade of cannabis for the medicinal side, which is unique, a grade of cannabis with consistency for the farmer side of the business, and then even on the recreational side, qualities such as 100% consistency, fingerprint consistency in itself is so important, because on the recreational side, consumers are looking for that consistent experience. And we know, for example, the terpenes are a critical element that drives the overall sensory experience of the cannabis. And in order to consistently have that same sensory experience that the consumer falls in love with, you need to have that consistency. So it allows us to play across the entire, call it spectrum, as far as potential customers are concerned, bringing a level of competitive advantage. And I would even call it inimitable, sustainable competitive advantage, because as you are very nicely articulated in your opening, that there is no other company out there that has the capabilities that we have in this area to be able to produce this unique nature of cannabis.
So, you know as well as I do, production is one thing, getting to market is another. You mentioned the consumer or recreational market, medicinal, and even pharma. Where are you going to concentrate your efforts first? Because you can't go after everything all at the same time, can you?
One thing that 18 years in the Coca-Cola company taught me was how to focus. So you're 100% correct. Focus is absolutely king for us. A lot of where we focus is going to be driven by capacity, number one. And secondly, and actually I would say more importantly, is going to be driven by our company's purpose and our company's commitment every single day in driving what I call human utility value. And what does human utility value mean? Human utility value is the ability to which we can make the lives of our consumers better every single day. And so in that context, our focus is likely to be initially on the medicinal side and the pharma side. Specifically, given initially, we will have some level of constraints on the capacity side. As capacity opens and we're able to fulfill what we believe will be significant demand on the medicinal side and the pharma side, we will look to start to look at other opportunities which are more in the recreational side. But the focus is very much primarily on the human utility value component.
Well, when we spoke last time, I asked you whether or not this is going to be able to help on the pharma side to help pharmacists who have concern about quality of dosage because they're going, well, how do I know what the purity of this is? And you're helping to address that question for them. And I can see why this would be a good market because there's good supply lines, there's a good process, there's flow from
the critical element, Stuart, in this context is on the fingerprint consistency. And the best example is if you look at consumers who are sufferers of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
You have a user, and by the way, these are actually the heaviest users in this context from a medicinal perspective. And when you look at this unique type of user, 1 week they get a strain of their existing strain of cannabis and they're fine. Go back to the pharmacy the next week, they ask for the same strain, and it's a totally different week that they're dealing with. Where we come into the fold from a competitive advantage perspective is in the context of fingerprint consistency. And I think it's important for the users to understand, how do we get that fingerprint consistency? Because as you articulated in the opening, we use the plant once, and then we create the cell. And in the case of cannabis, it's the cell, obviously, plus the trichome, our mini factory. And we're able to ensure that we can control that level of consistency. And each time we grow, we go back to the same cell because we create a cell bank. And that allows us to have that so important level of consistency, which allows a much better level of efficacy and regularity from an experience and impact perspective for the consumer.
So as far as markets are concerned, are you primarily focused on North American, and is it Canada or Canada and the United States?
So obviously, with the size of the prize, the US and Canada are significant parts of the global market. And obviously here, based in Israel, where the local market here, the local authorities here have a very good understanding of our technology. So I think from a sequencing perspective, as we bring our cannabis to market in 2022, we will probably start here in Israel with the local market and then very quickly move into the North American market as we start to scale our manufacturing. And what's beautiful about our farming technology is that we have now, as a result of our scale up on the vineyard side of the business, which is our superfruit nutraceutical product, we've developed a unique industrialized footprint and infrastructure for our BioFarming technology, which allows us to very easily copy and paste with a very short period of time. And as I articulated early, a cost of capital that's very, very unique within the industry.
So you're producing in Israel right now, but do you have plans to open production facilities in North America?
So right now, for clarity's sake, we're moving through the commercialization process here in Israel. And then it is our intention, obviously, given the regulatory environment, as far as the US is concerned, and Canada, that we will bring the factory closer to the market, which is obviously the way that we need to be doing it. And as I expressed earlier, this is something for us now because of the unique blueprint that we've built of the manufacturing. And it's very easy for us to do the copy and paste in a period of time which makes a lot of sense as far as speed to market, and an overall cost of capital which really drives a very strong overall return on investment.
So investors are always asking themselves, good, you've got that. You've also got your Vina products. Do you have any news there? Because you're in the nutraceutical business as well. Do you have any news there? And then we're going to come and talk about, what are the unique opportunities that are available to investors at this point?
Yeah, sure, no problems. So, as many of our investors understand, we're a unique company given that we're leveraging the power of our BioFarming technology today across two business verticals. One is the cannabis vertical that we've talked about already today. The second vertical is our superfruits nutraceutical vertical, where we have Vinia, our core product, which we've already launched in the Israeli market. We launched Vinia in the Israeli market in the fourth quarter and achieved significant success from an e-commerce perspective, reaching unprecedented levels of revenue levels in little Israel with a population of 8 million. As a result of that success, it's given us really good learnings and the confidence to really take on the US market. The US heart health market is roughly a heart health supplements market, is a $4 billion opportunity, plus the US energy supplement market is another $3.5 billion. So Vinia addresses each of these need states with unique benefits it provides in these areas as a dietary supplement. And the team and I are now, fully focused. I'm spending a good, 70-80% of my days right now on getting ready to execute what will be a very disruptive launch plan in the US. And we plan to sell our first bottle of Vinia online via our e-commerce strategy by the end of April, and then start to really scale the business, starting first in the Southeast, where we're going to be focusing on Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, a good 30 million population base, in order to test out all of our marketing strategies with a plan within 3 to 4 months to actually scale up into the Northeast, Central USA, and then into the West Coast, so that we have full coverage of the US with a very holistic, comprehensive, demand-driven marketing strategy for Vinia by the end of 2021.
Okay, for my own self-interest, I'm stuck out here on the west coast of Canada in Vancouver. I'm hoping that you're going to be supplying this market too, because I'm anxious to try it. Having done the research for our interview a couple of times, I'm thinking I want to try that product. So I'm anxious to get it as well.
It'll be coming to you shortly, Stuart. We're actually busy now in the process from a regulation perspective for 2022, focusing on Canada and the EU. And then we will look to roll out in 2024 into Japan and Australia. So a lot going on.
So that speaks to the fact that your plan is that you are building out the company. This is not a build up and then sell off. You are building up and going to operate the company. Is that correct?
You bet. I feel very privileged every day. Yeah. That I'm in this God-given opportunity to be leading this company with technology, our BioFarming technology, which right now puts us directly right in the heart of the storm. And that storm is a number of critical trends that are driving the categories that we're operating with major tailwinds. And they include the fact that the world today realizes that food tech and biotech has to play a critical role in helping to nourish and feed the world. 2, consumers today, as a result of what's happened that we've all had to deal with in the last 12 months with COVID-19, our mindset around health and wellness has dramatically changed. And the focus more on the preventative side, as well as the problem-solving side, is greater than ever before. And we're seeing a major impact on this in categories like cannabis and in the dietary supplement space. And then thirdly, more than ever, also I think driven psychologically based on the importance of the value of life on this planet, the trend of sustainability is stronger than ever, where people are really realizing that the actions that we all take today are going to determine the quality of life for our children and our grandchildren. And we at BioHarvest Sciences, we're at the eye of the storm here because we have breakthrough biotech technology, which allows us to deliver on those health and wellness needs of consumers like no other company. And then from a sustainability perspective, we have a sustainability purpose and focus, which is extremely unique for this industry and will ensure that as we grow this company, we grow it with a footprint that will ensure that the actions that we take will leave the world in a much better place on the sustainability side. And then importantly, going back to that human utility value, which is so important for us. And I always say to our employees, to our team members, and to our investor partners, our number one focus every day has to be around driving human utility value. How we make the world better every single day for the consumers through the use of our products. And if we do that every single day, the shareholder value will come. But it's human utility value that has to be the primary driver of what gets us up every single day and come to work. And there's nothing better since I spoke to you 7 months ago, where every single week I receive at least 5 emails from consumers on how Vinia is changing their respective lives. And I'm looking forward as we grow the portfolio in our superfruit nutraceutical products with Vinia and our olive-based cells and pomegranate cells, and now with cannabis, to, again, making a dramatic impact on how people live their lives.
So when we did our interview about 7 months ago, I went back and I took a look at where your stock was then versus yesterday versus today, and it has jumped up considerably. An investor might be saying, "Oh, did I miss out?" What's your message to investors right at the moment? Why now is a good time to be putting their money into BioHarvest Sciences?
My message to investors is very simple. We've just started. This is a marathon, and getting in right now, you're still getting in right at the beginning. If you're an investor that is focused on purpose, and you want to invest in a company that has a purpose in making the world a better place, we're the right home for you. And that's really driven by this amazing technology that we have, which is going to make a fundamental difference to people's lives. And for me, the dream is if we, in 10 years' time, go back and we look at what we've achieved as a company in the cannabis space, in the context of medicinal and pharma, in superfruit nutraceuticals, with everything we're doing with our products in the area of supporting heart health, supporting energy, supporting reduction of cholesterol, and other areas where our products are focused. Plus a third vertical that we're working on, which maybe in 6 months' time I'll be able to come and talk more to you about. It's all about making a fundamental difference to the overall health and wellness of the populations of the world. And if you want to invest in a company that's focused on that, and you want to be part of that journey with us, now's the time to get on the road and be part of that journey as we all hold hands together and execute on a very clear dream with a very clear strategy that we're executing on every single day.
Yeah.
And with that, by doing that, we'll grow the shareholder value.
So you've already teased me to tell you to come back in a couple of months to give us an update, and I'm hoping that that you will do so, because I'm very keen to see how you grow in both of these markets. Ilan, I really want to thank you for taking the time to explain so thoroughly all these different elements of the markets that you're in, the company itself, and the opportunity that's ahead. Thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.